Early voting is underway in battleground Michigan. Far-left progressive candidate Abdul el-Sayed is locked in a tight Senate primary with Congresswoman Haley Stevens for the Democratic nomination. Rich Edson is live in Dearborn, Michigan with the latest on this high-stakes race less than 100 days from the midterms. Rich.
Good afternoon, John. Well, Congresswoman Haley Stevens and the progressive Abdul el-Sayed are campaigning largely here in the Detroit area today. In fact, Stevens is in Detroit itself right now. She's speaking. Fox is monitoring it. We'll give you an update on what she said in the next hour. This is just days after Stevens accused her opponent of blaming all of his problems on Jewish Americans. Stevens was responding to el-Sayed, calling her the least capable candidate in the country and suggesting she wants American government money in foreign government, an apparent criticism of defensive aid to Israel. El-Sayed has also been campaigning with national and local progressives like Senator Bernie Sanders, left-wing commenter Hassan Piker, and Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. He is defending his campaign against accusations in a recent poll showing him down double digits to the presumptive Republican nominee, former Congressman Mike Rogers.
And so I get real pissed off when they say, oh, you're unelectable because your name is Abdul, because for me, I push back and say, you don't know Michigan like I know Michigan.
Stevens maintains it's not his name, but his policies, comments, and focus on Israel that make him a liability for Democrats in the fall. The winner of this primary will face presumptive Republican nominee and former Congressman Mike Rogers, who lost to Senator Alyssa Slotkin 2.5 years ago by about 19,000 votes out of more than 5.5 million cast. The race is a major test for national progressives who have succeeded this year in nominating more liberal candidates in safe Democratic seats, and in a midterm year with Republicans in control of the White House and Congress that historically would give Democrats an advantage. Now, Democrats need to hold all of their seats, including this one here in Michigan, pick up 4 Republican seats if they want to gain control of the Senate going into next year. John?
That is a race to watch. Rich Edson. Rich, thanks. So as the far left gains ground around the country, some candidates are being called to answer for their controversial positions. In the Wisconsin governor's race, Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong previously called to defund and abolish the police. Now she's trying to walk that back.
I cannot defund the police, and I won't defund the police. We can't be tough on causes. We have to be tough on causes if we would like to be tough on crime. And as governor, I cannot defund the police, and I've reminded folks that I won't defund the police.
Our next guest says Democrats are betting on short voter memories. James Freeman is assistant editorial page editor at the Wall Street Journal. It's pretty clear she advocated defunding the police. I mean, we just saw those posts she put out on X, repeating that phrase several times. Now she says, I'm not going to do it. And by the way, the governor can't do it. What's going on, James?
Yeah, I think a lot of voters are going to be asking that, including Democratic voters. She's got a big lead heading up to that August 11th primary, but still not at 50%. And I think there is a great deal of concern about how she could have held those beliefs as recently as 2021, and has she really abandoned them? She said she wanted to defund the police as a first step to abolishing the police. She said it was an instrument of white supremacy. And we should note that she continued to say defund the police into 2021 while in the Wisconsin state legislature. So Kenosha, Wisconsin, as you recall, was on fire in the summer of 2020. Yeah. We saw across the United States the really horrific results of this whole movement to attempt to delegitimize, to rhetorically attack police, to discourage them, to defund them. 2020 marked the largest increase in homicides in the United States ever recorded. About 5,000 people, additional people died in 2020 of homicides. And so this is an issue that could not be more serious. And as you saw in that interview with Dana Perino this week, she has moved on to say she, as governor, can't and won't, if elected, defund the police. But what's been missing is any as far as I've seen, any serious explanation of what's really changed in her thinking other than political calculation, because she's talking about the same thing they were talking about in 2020. Instead of funding police, we need to focus on things other than incarceration, and we need to fund more government social programs. That's her same message now. And if we learned anything from that bloody year, it's that violent criminals need to be discouraged from committing crimes, and when they do, they need to be incarcerated.
A very popular former governor of that state says he can't believe that some of these policies are being advocated now. Listen to Scott Walker.
These radical ideas that just a few years ago we thought would be wildly out of touch. These are the candidates now running and winning primaries, and this will be the first big one. We've seen them in blue congressional districts and blue cities, but this is a purple state. So for her to win, which I think she will, the nomination of her party shows just how far radically to the left things have gone.
So is that bad news for the Democrat Party writ large? I mean, are these far left ideas going to turn off voters, or might people want to give it a try like they've done in New York City, for instance?
Yeah, I think it's bad for the country, possibly good short term for Republicans to be able to run against these kooks, but I think really destructive for our country to have a major party taken over by this kind of lunacy. And it absolutely is going to, the next 2 weeks of results are going to tell us a lot, because as you were talking about with Rich, you have this Michigan Senate primary, then you have the Wisconsin governor primary. Democratic socialists, far left defunder types have thrived in places like New York City. This is the first time they're attempting to go statewide in a big swing state. And I just can't emphasize enough with Francesca Hong in Wisconsin. She's running for governor. This is the executive authority in the state. So if you have, God forbid, another Kenosha situation, if you have riots where the National Guard has to be called in, to have a person wondering whether that's the right thing to do when cities are on fire with violence, I think is a frightening prospect. And I think that's why you're going to see a lot of Democrats, if she wins this primary, say that they're going to either stay home or vote Republican for the first time. I would hope that that this kind of agenda is not endorsed.
She and others in her state, Wisconsin, seem to think that they're going to be able to attract a lot of Republican voters. Listen.
I believe that people can evolve. We meet Trump voters from previous elections who now would like to vote for me, who have a sign in their yard.
You know, some Republicans who subscribe to Trump also start, voting for DSA candidates. And it's not because necessarily the policies themselves are similar, it's that the rhetoric is similar. He did go to the working class and tell them, you are suffering, I see you, this is how I'm going to change it. Democrats never did that.
Donald Trump did win with a lot of disaffected voters who don't like traditional politicians, and Francesca Hong is not a traditional politician, I guess you could say.
Well, in some ways she is a state legislator advocating big government. That's not necessarily that rare, but I think it's the scale of government power she wants, which is new. And I understand people wanting to send a message and not being satisfied with the status quo, but you look at this agenda. We've been talking about the threat to public safety. She's calling for a 17% state top rate on incomes for people and businesses. Just to put it in perspective, this would make Wisconsin the most heavily taxed business environment in the United States and among the most in the world.
Wow.
So I think whatever people are disappointed with in government there, they might want to say, is it really time to kind of set fire to the Wisconsin economy and do whatever she has in mind with public safety, which doesn't seem to involve the obvious need for criminals to be incarcerated.
Yeah, she wants Wisconsin to be #1 in taxation rates, anyway. All right, James Freeman, another one we'll be watching. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.